What's up, fragrant world? Welcome back to another Stay Fresh production. Welcome back to another episode of Fragrances of the Week. I believe this is week 6 now, so thank you for rocking with me thus far if you've been watching these videos. So if this is your first time here to Fragrances of the Week, welcome. Thank you for joining us here. What we do is I tell you for the past 7 days each fragrance that I wore for each day, and what I did that day, and if I got any compliments or anything of the sort that's relevant. And we do have a theme this week, although moving forward I can't really guarantee I'll have a dedicated theme every week. It can be a little bit challenging to really come up with something that I consider novel or interesting every week. Sometimes it just comes to me, but sometimes I really have to dig for it. So just letting you know, there might be some weeks coming up where I just kind of wear what I want to wear and I don't try to group it into a specific theme. But this week our theme is masculine florals. So these are floral dominated fragrances that I believe men, or those who identify as men, can feel confident wearing and can feel, not timid about wearing, because I know florals can be a little bit daunting when it comes to men who want to wear fragrance. We don't want to come off too floral or too powdery or whatever. So these are floral fragrances that I think any man could pull off, no problem, and you'll feel like your masculinity is intact at the end of the day. So don't even worry about it. So we're gonna jump right into it. Last Friday, which was June the 21st, I wore a new addition to my collection, which I am loving, and which will definitely be featured on my top 10 designer fragrances for the summer, which should be coming out on Monday next week. And we're talking about Valentino Uomo Aqua. This is one that got a little slept on when it came out. I think it was released in 2017. And when I first smelled it, I absolutely loved it. This was right when it came out. I smelled it in stores. I loved it, but I had no inclination to go buy it. And I've tried it in sample form multiple times ever since, and I finally decided, you know what, this is a great fragrance. And the floral note that dominates this scent, as with the entire Valentino Uomo line, is iris. Now, if you don't know what iris smells like, it's kind of hard to describe, but it's kind of a powdery, almost starchy fragrance note. And sometimes people can say it smells a little waxy, even a little bit like lipstick. You don't really get that vibe here. It's a very clean iris here, and it's paired with a little bit of tomato, which is an interesting addition, as well as some mandarin orange, which brings some sweetness. We get a little bit of sage and patchouli and even some leather in there. Really a gorgeous scent. It's fresh and it's light, but it's also very classy and elegant. Not the strongest fragrance you'll ever have, but it's good enough for just being out for a day. That's Valentino Uomo Aqua. Wore that last Friday. And Friday was a super chill day. Didn't really do anything that day. On Saturday I actually had a gig. I had to drive up north a bit, and I actually played an event for the NAACP. They were doing a special conference, so I provided entertainment for them along with a 9-piece band, and that was a lot of fun. And the fragrance that accompanied me on that was Vetiver Geranium from the house of Creed. One of my favorites from the house for sure. Great for the springtime. And as you could probably guess from the name, if you're familiar with floral notes, this one is dominated by geranium. And geranium is a floral note that is kind of similar to rose. It's, again, a little bit rosy, has that vibe, that nuance, but it tends to be a little bit more on the fresh side, a little bit more on the minty side even, and it can even be a little less powdery than rose. And it is a perfect addition to this scent because it's paired with some fruity notes like apple. There's some citruses in there. There's also some cinnamon in there, and obviously there's some vetiver. And oh, this is such a gorgeous scent. It's sweet, but it's fresh and kind of minty, but it does have a little bit of floral nature to it, but it's also woody and a little spicy as well. So guys, don't be afraid of this one. Beautiful floral dominated scent. That is Vetiver Geranium from Creed. Next, on Sunday, which was the 23rd, I had another gig, and I had to play at one of the libraries in town for a very special project, the whole multimedia project. It was really cool, and I decided to wear something a little bit more elegant, so I went with this, which I haven't worn in a while, since the springtime. My little Discovery, what do they call it? Discovery Atomizer from Raja Parfums. This is Cheaper Extraordinaire. You're probably not going to be able to read that. Yeah, you can't really read it. It's okay. But this, wow, this stuff is so, it packs a punch. Main floral note here is going to be tuberose. Now tuberose it can be a challenging note. It's a white floral. It's very carnal. It's very powdery. And sometimes it can even come off smelling like flesh, like almost rotten meat kind of smell. Now fortunately that's not the case here. As with many of Raja Dove's fragrances, this has a ton of notes. There's a whole lot of other florals here, but tuberose is what I get the most, paired with some aldehydes, which makes it very kind of fizzy and effervescent and bright when you first spray it on. There's a lot of fruits in there, mainly get peach, which is a gorgeous addition, but it even dries down to some animalic notes like civet, and there's oriental nature, there's amber, vanilla, and tonka bean, and there's so many notes in this fragrance. But basically it comes off sweet and a little powdery, again floral, but there's this richness to it, and again it's a little animalic, just the right amount of animalic nature in the background to make it elegant and interesting, and not too flowery, floral, bubbly, happy, fruity time. I don't know where that came from. Anyway, really enjoyed this, and it was great for the gig. Very elegant scent. You gotta dress this one up, and this one is very expensive. If you want to know more about the fragrance, I actually did review it, so you can check that out there. But that was Cheaper Extraordinaire. Okay, Monday the 24th. This was a super chill day. I needed to recover from all the gigs that I had. All I did was teach a lesson that day. I had a private trumpet student to meet with, and I decided to wear something casual. Great for the warm weather. This is Vanilla Vibes from Juliet Has a Gun. I have a review, which you should check out there. And man, this is such a beautiful vanilla scent for the summer. Main floral player here is going to be orchid. Now orchid in a way is kind of a fantasy note, because there are literally tens of thousands of species of orchid. There's probably like 30,000, 20 or 30,000 species of orchid, all kind of designated into about 900 different groups, different like genus groups. And naturally, with all that variation, there's a ton of variation in the scent of orchid. It can range from very clean and light to something, again, almost rotten and fleshy. So the way that they usually use orchid is, again, kind of a synthetic molecule to replicate an orchid note that usually smells sometimes like coconut, almost coconut suntan lotiony, and sweet and clean. That's generally how they represent orchid in many fragrances today. Not all. There's actually a house, I can't remember the name of it, a house dedicated to orchid fragrances using all these different types, and they have all these different, varieties of scent that orchid can give off. Anyway, here it comes off, again, a little suntan lotiony, not so much coconut, but a little tropical, definitely sweet, kind of rich, but still kind of transparent. Again, check out the review if you want to know more about this, but I love this stuff. Great performance on me. It's one I will continue to wear this summer. That is Vanilla Vibes from Juliet Has a Gun. Up next on Tuesday, went with a classic and a classy scent. This is Reflection Man. Recently featured this on my top 10 niche for the summer, as well as the Juliet Has a Gun. Main player here is Jasmine, which is a powdery white floral note. It can be a little indolic, kind of earthy almost, and dirty, but under the right treatments, it can be very clean as well. And here it is paired with some neroli, which is another main player here, which is a very clean and light, kind of citrusy, can be a little bit bitter note, yet another white floral. So you get this creamy nature. There's a lot more going on here, like orris and pink pepper and sandalwood especially, but man, this is such an elegant scent. This is such an elegant scent. At first, you might smell it, especially from the bottle or off a strip or something, and you might think it smells kind of feminine if you've never smelled it. But when you wear it, and especially when you dress the part, you look clean, you dress up, man, people's heads will turn. That is Reflection Man from Amouage, a favorite of mine that will always be in my collection. Yesterday, Wednesday, I'm moving pretty quick here because I don't want to take too long. Yesterday was another chill day. I just had dinner with some folks, very low key, and decided to go with another new addition to my collection that you've seen in another Fragrance of the Week video, L'Homme Ultime from the house of Yves Saint Laurent. Then this is turning into one of my favorites from the house. Main floral player here is rose, and it's a very masculine rose. It's paired with quite a bit of ginger. There's some other aromatic notes in there. There's sage, there's also some geranium in there. There's a beautiful apple note, and it does dry down to some woodiness, some cedar wood, and some vetiver. You mainly get the rose and the ginger that carries you through the scent. It's a spicy, clean, and fresh rose. It's pretty woody, and again, it is pretty sweet. And it persists. This stuff will last me a good 7-8 hours on the skin. It's really no slouch. It's an eau de parfum. It behaves like one. It's casual, but it can be classy if you wanted to. So that's L'Homme Ultime from Yves Saint Laurent. And finally, today, I was running around. I had to teach a lesson. I had to run some errands, and I decided to go with something special, something that, you know, just makes me feel unique, and that is going to be this one, Un Jardin sur le Nil from Hermès. And main floral player here is Lotus, not a note that you see all that often featured. And Lotus can come off basically watery. It's a very watery floral note. And there is a nice prominent watery nature to this fragrance. There's a ton of vegetal notes. It's very green and fresh, and again, watery. Not a ton of sweetness here. Definitely a little bit floral, but again, it's unisex technically, but men, don't be afraid to wear this one. If you haven't tried it, it is a little unusual, so you got to test it out a little bit first before you pull the trigger on it. But if you can enjoy it, oh man, you will definitely enjoy it. I get a lot of joy wearing this one because, again, it's different, and I just love the watery feel. It paints a picture in front of me when I wear this fragrance. A garden on the Nile, that's what it translates to. So I love this stuff from Hermès. Check it out if you haven't already. Anyway, that's what I wore this week. What I want you guys to do now, leave me a comment down below and let me know once again one fragrance that you enjoyed wearing the most this week and why. Let me know why, let me know what you're wearing. Let's talk about it. You know the deal. If you like this video, leave me a like. Why not? It helps me out so I can keep bringing content to you guys as well. And subscribe if you haven't already for more videos like this. Make sure you stay tuned for my top 10 designer list for the summer coming on Monday, and it is going to be Fire Flame Productions. We're gonna have to change the name of the channel. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Peace. See you in the next one.